leader. Your team is talking about AI, whether they say it or not. In today's episode, we'll unpack how to talk about it during your next one-to-one so people feel informed, not threatened by any concern that AI is going to take their job away from them. I'll share what's really happening in AI and jobs and why AI is so much more than ChatGPT and where humans remain irreplaceable. Let's dive into what leaders can do to guide their teams through the change based on my own experience leading multi-million-dollar automation projects at Procter Gamble. Because I've seen firsthand what happens when technology transforms how people work. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. I'm Shelli Warren, your team and leadership coach, and your no-fluff guide to building a powerhouse team that actually gets the job done without you holding their hand every 5 minutes. You're not just a business owner, you're the leader now, and I'll help you step up, lead smart, and stop micromanaging. Stick with me and you'll learn how to hire, fire, and inspire a team you lead with confidence and finally get your night and weekends back. And here's the hard truth. The team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there. So let's trade burnout for bold leadership and stack your team. First of all, I want to say bravo to you for tuning into this episode. It's a big topic and it's a conversation that can't wait any longer. I've been dragging my feet on creating this episode because I kept telling myself that I needed to watch and see what actually is happening in our world, which is embracing the most incredible advancement in tech in decades. I felt like I needed to watch what was going on for a little bit longer, but it's time. I may end up doing further research and further episodes about AI, but let's start with this one. Geez, do you know that stats claim that around 40% of jobs globally are exposed to AI, especially in advanced economies like the one we live in North America? Automation is changing tasks, not just titles, and the roles that remain demand even stronger human capabilities. Your job as the leader is not to let your team learn about this from the headlines. Talk about it early, talk about it clearly, and connect the dots for how AI is going to impact your team and your business. Now, I'm not an economist, nor am I a tech journalist, but I do pay attention to what's happening in the world of work. You may not know that before I shifted into the online world of advising small business owners, I spent over 2 decades at Procter Gamble. I had a fantastic career, mainly in operations and in engineering. For many years, my role was bringing automation into our large-scale production facility, and that meant real people, good people, were worried about losing their jobs. And yes, some roles did go away. But what surprised many was how many new roles appeared. Instead of needing people to feed the machines raw materials and perform routine maintenance, we needed technicians who could optimize automated production lines, mechanics who could perform predictive maintenance, and leaders who could interpret data to make smart production decisions in real time, leading to cost savings and a 24-hour operation efficiencies for people and equipment so that we were a positive force for supply chains of those all too familiar billion-dollar Procter Gamble brands. The work didn't vanish, it evolved. It became more technical, more analytical, and in many ways, more engaging. Procter & Gamble is not an isolated case. Companies like GM and Amazon are already adjusting workforces as part of their automation and AI transitions. And the headlines certainly can be jarring because the numbers of forecasted layoffs are huge. What's missing in those storylines is how people's roles will shift. Here's a few notable quotes. The CEO of Microsoft recently said, AI agents will become the primary way we interact with computers in the future. They will be able to understand our needs and preferences and proactively help us with tasks and decision-making. A recent LinkedIn article said businesses are no longer just experimenting with AI, but integrating AI agents that execute tasks, optimize workflows, and make decisions autonomously. So, what is an AI agent? An AI agent is a digital teammate who doesn't just answer questions, it takes answers. Here's another way to think about AI agents. They're like a digital intern who never sleeps. You can give it a goal, and it goes off, does the research, summarizes the data, organizes it all, and then comes back and reports to you. It doesn't replace your team. It takes the busy work off their plate so they can focus on real thinking, real leading, and real creating. People will need to consider how to step up and become the person in their company or small business, or launch their own small business offering AI coding as a service. Think about it. As AI becomes an important part of every workplace, we will need people who can train their software to be a darn good replica of the company or the small business owner, using their intellectual property, using their core values, using their current tech stack, and their understanding of the intended outcome in order to ensure their AI system delivers it consistently. Some of my clients are hiring AI agencies to develop an app that enables their clients to have them on demand, leveraging all their intellectual property and personality. I mean, right now, AI is scraping any of us who have their intellectual property out there. So if you have a podcast, like I do, if you speak on stage a lot and it's recorded, if you have a YouTube channel, and if you have lead magnets on your website or blog, and you guest on podcasts or other media, especially if you have published a book, your stuff is being scraped regularly. And nope, you're not making a dime off of any of that. Having your own AI app developed for you and then having that be an additional service for your clients and customers allows you to monetize it further than what you're doing right now. Now, will it ever offset the lost revenue that the mainstream AI software apps are making off of your stuff? Not likely, but it's something. And let's clear something up. AI is not just ChatGPT or other similar softwares. It's any technology that helps us work smarter, software that summarizes notes, scheduling tools that predict busy times, or systems that track inventory automatically. Now, for a small business, that might mean automated follow-up emails. Maybe your AI schedules meetings for you and your team or updates data. You could also use AI to write draft job descriptions. You could use it as a transcription tool for your meeting notes. And of course, you can use it to summarize any kind of client feedback. And all of this can be done super fast. AI isn't here to take over your business. It's here to save you time so your team can focus on parts of their job that needs a human touch. AI includes the automation, robotics, sensors, machine learning algorithms, and even the massive power systems that drive this technology across every industry, from logistics and healthcare to manufacturing and retail. So if you only think AI is a chatbot, you're missing the full scope of what's reshaping our workforce. So as a leader, what's your takeaway? Here are a few things. Your job isn't to know all the tech details. Your job is to start the conversation early and guide your team through it. Here's how. Acknowledge what's changing. So you want to say something like, AI is becoming part of how we work. Let's talk about what that means for us. Then you're going to want to clarify what stays the same. You could say something like, AI can help us with tasks, but it can't replace trust, empathy, or judgment. You also want to involve your team. So you could ask things like, what repetitive work could AI help you with so that you could focus on your highest valued work? And of course, you want to set some clear boundaries. So you want to remind them not to load private or client information up and into public tools. You're going to use approved tools only and always review your AI output before sharing it. And then, of course, the last thing that you'd want to include in this conversation is you want to ensure that you and your business are going to stay human-centered. So you want to reassure them that technology can write drafts, but only people can build trust, solve problems together, and care for clients. So here's a bit more about where people will still shine in your business. AI can process endless amounts of data. We all know that, but it can't form genuine relationships. And that's part of the growing concern today. More young people are beginning to build synthetic relationships with AI, mistaking interaction for real human connection. This is so dangerous. Now, AI can suggest actions, but it can't take responsibility for those outcomes. It can sound empathetic, but it doesn't feel empathy. That's why human skills like communication, emotional intelligence, judgment, and creativity are becoming more valuable than ever. So when your team asks you, will AI take my job? You can confidently say, AI cannot replace the parts of your work that require people skills, creativity, and care. That's where you are irreplaceable. Here are a few more suggestions on how to talk about AI during your next one-to-one. Start with the reassurance. AI is coming to our work. Let's talk about what that will change and what won't. Next, you'll want to identify repetitive tasks with each person. So again, ask them individually, what parts of your role are repetitive and time-consuming? Those are the ones that AI can help you with. That's going to lead to a conversation about how your team can reimagine their value. So you could say something like, if AI handled that task, what could you focus on that adds more value elsewhere? And then you want to wrap up that conversation with a reminder about setting those guardrails again, right? So let's agree on what stays private and what needs a human review before we can share it. After all, AI can truly speed up decisions, summarize data, and write drafts. But as a leader, you're still responsible for what leaves your business and how it represents your brand. You'll want to make it clear that confidential information never goes into public AI tools. So no client names, financial data, employee records, or strategy documents would be loaded up into any AI tool. This kind of conversation builds trust, reduces fears, and helps people feel part of the change, not victims of it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, great, but what about my business? Well, if you own a law firm, AI tools can draft letters or summarize contracts so your team can spend more time with clients. It can also accelerate the first draft, not the final decision. You could make it an expectation that a footer is added, such as, this document was AI assisted and reviewed by a team member's name. If you run a wellness clinic, when it comes to healing, people still want a real therapist. They want someone who can read subtle cues, offer empathy, and know when to challenge and when to comfort them. But AI can help them with their session notes and generate resources your team can then personalize for each client. If you lead a design studio, AI can organize project files or help brainstorm ideas, but you would still provide the creative direction. So let's recap. AI is reshaping how we do work. It's out there, it's going to happen, get used to it. But it doesn't replace leadership. Your team still needs clarity, compassion, and consistency from you. The best way to lead through that change is to keep talking about it early and often and openly. So start with a full team discussion with everyone and then set up individual one-to-ones, just like I shared earlier on here in the episode. And a great phrase to use would be something like, based on what I know today, here's how AI might impact us. That's going to build credibility and calm people down. And remember, AI can listen, but only humans can hear. AI can support, but only people can care. Technology cannot replace trust, and that's your leadership advantage. And let's lean all the way into the importance of having your team create and train AI agents who become that team member who doesn't need constant supervision. They just quietly keep moving projects forward. The best leaders will learn how to delegate to these digital teammates as naturally as they do to the human ones. And full disclosure, I often use ChatGPT to help me decide on what I'm going to title an episode and serve up relevant stats that I think might enhance the episode. And I used it today to find me some quotes and some definitions. If you're tuning into this podcast, it's likely because you've grown your business, but your team still depends on you for everything. You know, every woman in the Leadership Lab starts there too. The Leadership Lab gives you tools, coaching, and accountability to build a team that runs without you. No more hand-holding. You'll go from managing people to leading leaders, so you can focus on your highest valued work that you love doing. Don't go it alone. Join us by visiting stackingyourteam.com. I can't wait to support you. If today's episode helps you see your leadership in a new way, I'd love to hear about it. Come connect with me on Instagram, where I'm at Stacking Your Team, and tell me, What's troubling you about your team right now? And hey, if you're tuning into this podcast because you work somewhere and you want to develop your leadership skills, I invite you to start following our sister company, Thousand Islands Leadership Consulting. Check us out on Instagram or LinkedIn so you can chart your course to the next level of leadership.
This is Ellie. Come back next Tuesday. My Mimi will have another episode for you.